Before he became the richest man alive, he was beaten so badly by classmates that he was thrown down a staircase and left unconscious. Years later, his companies were collapsing. He was almost completely broke. Today, that same man is worth more than entire countries. Imagine this. You are 12 years old. You have no friends. You go home every day with bruises on your body from the kids at school who hate you so much. They once threw you down a flight of stairs and beat you until you blacked out. Your parents' marriage is falling apart, and the one place you feel safe is inside your own mind. Now fast forward 30 years. That same kid, that same lonely, broken, bullied little boy from a small city in South Africa is standing at the top of the entire world. The richest human being to ever walk this planet, worth more than the GDP of entire countries, running not one, not two, but 6 of the most disruptive companies on Earth. And he did it not with luck, not with inheritance, not with connections. He did it the only way a true builder knows how: in silence, in pain, in the dark, when nobody was watching. This is the story of Elon Musk. And if you're watching this channel, The Silent Builder, then something tells me this story was made for you. Stay with me, because this is not just about Elon Musk. This is about what's possible for anyone who refuses to quit. Elon Reeve Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa. On the surface, his family had money. His father, Errol Musk, was an engineer and property developer. They lived in a nice house. They were comfortable. But comfort doesn't mean peace. Elon's parents had a deeply troubled marriage, and when Elon was just 9 years old, they divorced. He chose to live with his father, a decision he would later describe as one of the worst mistakes of his life. In rare interviews, Elon has hinted that his relationship with his father was cold, difficult, and at times deeply painful. He has said, in his own words, that his father is a terrible human being. But that pain at home was nothing compared to what waited for him at school. Elon was different. He was obsessive. He read encyclopedias for fun. He disappeared into books and into his own thoughts for hours. He wasn't interested in sports or parties or fitting in. And kids? Kids are cruel to anyone who's different. He was bullied, relentlessly, mercilessly, the kind of bullying that leaves scars you carry into adulthood. By the time Elon was a teenager, he had one obsession that went beyond coding or science. He wanted out. Not out of bitterness, out of vision. He looked at South Africa, and he looked at the future he wanted to build, and he knew the place that future would be built was North America. At 17 years old, Elon Musk packed a bag, said goodbye to his mother, May Musk, and boarded a plane to Canada. Alone. No job waiting, no apartment, no plan beyond, I'll figure it out. He arrived in Canada with almost nothing and started making calls to distant relatives, a great aunt, a cousin, trying to find a floor to sleep on. He worked. He worked jobs that had nothing to do with rockets or technology or changing the world. He shoveled grain at a farm. He cleaned out a boiler room at a lumber mill, a job so brutal, so toxic, that the workers doing it were paid in hazard pay just to step inside. Elon did it for more than the money. He did it to survive. And then, he got into Queen's University in Ontario. And 2 years later, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, one of the most prestigious universities in the United States. He double majored, economics and physics. While other students were at parties, Elon was thinking about, no exaggeration, the future of the human species. He had identified what he believed were the 5 most important problems facing humanity's long-term survival: the internet, clean energy, making life multiplanetary, artificial intelligence, and rewriting human genetics. He decided to start with the internet. In 1995, he was accepted into a PhD program at Stanford University. He lasted 2 days. He looked around that campus, looked at what was happening in Silicon Valley just outside those walls, The internet was exploding, and he thought, if I don't jump in right now, this window closes forever. He called his brother, Kimball Musk, and together they started building. In 1995, Elon and Kimball Musk founded a company called Zip2. The idea was simple but ahead of its time, an online city guide for newspapers, basically a digital map and directory at a moment when most people didn't even understand what the internet was. They had barely any money. Their office was a small rented space in Palo Alto, and Elon didn't pay for an apartment. He slept at the office. He showered at the YMCA down the street. He worked around the clock, not because he had to, but because he was consumed by it. The mission, the vision, the need to build something that mattered. They hustled. They cold-called newspapers. They pitched anyone who would listen. Slowly, the company grew. In 1999, Compaq acquired Zip2 for over $300 million. Elon's share? $22 million. 27 years old, $22 million in his bank account. Most people in that position would take a breath, buy a house, relax. Elon Musk took every cent and went again. He founded X.com, one of the world's first online payment companies. And through a merger with a company called Confinity, X.com eventually became something you've definitely heard of, PayPal. In 2002, eBay acquired PayPal for $1.5 billion. Elon's cut? $180 million. Now, stop for a second, because this is where most people's story would end. This is where you cash out, move to the beach, and live well forever. But Elon Musk did something that made everyone around him think he had lost his mind. He bet it all. Every single dollar. On not one risky company, on 3 of them. He put $100 million into a rocket company, $70 million into an electric car company that nobody believed in, $10 million into a solar energy company. His friends staged what can only be described as an intervention. They sent him videos of rockets exploding. They told him, to his face, "You are going to lose everything." Elon smiled and kept building. This is the chapter that separates Elon Musk from every other entrepreneur on this planet. Because in 2008, the year the entire global economy collapsed, Elon Musk's entire world fell apart at the exact same time. His marriage to his first wife, Justine, ended in divorce. He was going through one of the most painful personal experiences a human being can face. And his companies? SpaceX had attempted to launch its Falcon 1 rocket, the rocket that was supposed to prove that private companies could reach space 3 times. 3 times. 3 failures. Each failure cost tens of millions of dollars. Each failure pushed SpaceX closer to the edge of collapse. After the 3rd failed launch, Elon gathered his team, many of whom were in tears, and gave them a speech. He told them, "I will never give up. I will never quit. As long as I have $1 left, we keep going." Somewhere across Silicon Valley, Tesla, the electric car company everyone had already written off as a joke, was hemorrhaging money. They were days, possibly hours, from running out of cash entirely. Elon was so broke that he had to borrow money from friends just to pay his personal bills. The man who had been worth hundreds of millions of dollars was borrowing money to survive. And here is the moment. The single moment that defines what it means to be a silent builder. It was Christmas Eve, 2008. Tesla's investors were pulling out. The company needed a final round of funding or it would be dead by morning. Elon picked up the phone and he made the calls. One by one, begging, negotiating, refusing to let it die. At the very last hour, the funding came through. Tesla survived. And 6 weeks earlier, something extraordinary had happened at SpaceX. The 4th Falcon 1 launch. Everything had failed before. The entire world, including most of his own team, expected another disaster. The rocket lifted off, and this time, it didn't come back down in failure. It kept going, all the way to orbit. SpaceX became the first privately funded company in history to reach Earth's orbit. Shortly after, NASA awarded SpaceX a contract worth $1.6 billion. In the span of a few weeks, a man who was borrowing money from friends went from the edge of total ruin to the beginning of something the world had never seen. This is what happens when you refuse to quit. From 2009 onward, everything changed. Tesla launched the Model S, and the world that had laughed at electric cars suddenly went quiet. It wasn't just a car, it was the best car many automotive journalists had ever driven, period. SpaceX kept pushing boundaries, building bigger rockets, developing reusable boosters, cutting the cost of reaching space by factors that seemed impossible. In 2010, Tesla went public on the stock market. In 2012, SpaceX became the first private company to dock a spacecraft with the International Space Station. The companies scaled, the vision expanded, the world started to pay attention. And then, in January 2021, it happened. Elon Musk became the richest person on the planet. The boy who was beaten unconscious on a staircase in Pretoria. The teenager who slept in an office and showered at the YMCA. The man who cried at rocket failures and borrowed money to survive Christmas. The richest human being on Earth. Not by inheritance, not by luck, not because someone gave it to him, because he built, quietly, painfully, relentlessly, when no one was watching. When every voice around him said it was over. When every reasonable person would have walked away. I want to talk to you directly for a second. Because if you're watching this channel, you already know something most people don't. You know that the real work happens in the silence. Not on stage, not on social media, not when the cameras are rolling. The real work happens at midnight when you're exhausted and you open your laptop anyway. It happens when the project fails, and instead of walking away, you sit down and ask, what do I fix next? It happens when people around you say, that's not realistic. And you smile, nod, and keep going. Elon Musk didn't win because he was the smartest person in the room. He didn't win because he never failed. He won because his capacity to absorb failure and keep building was simply greater than everyone else's. He once said something that I think every silent builder needs to hear. If something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. That's it. That's the whole thing. Not talent, not luck, not connections. The willingness to keep going when everything is telling you to stop. So let me ask you something before you close this video. What are you building right now that nobody else can see yet? What dream are you carrying in silence, in between your regular life, your job, your responsibilities? Because here's what the story of Elon Musk proves beyond any doubt. The silent builders are the ones who change the world, not the loudest voices in the room. Not the ones with the perfect background or the perfect plan, the ones who just keep building. If this story moved something in you, share it with someone who needs it. And if you're new here, welcome to The Silent Builder. This is where we tell the stories that remind you what you're capable of. Subscribe, stay silent, keep building.